This episode of Dusklight Radio discusses and depicts moments and scenes of domestic abuse. Listener discretion is advised. If you or someone you know and love is in a situation involving domestic abuse, there are resources available in our description below. Specifically in the UK, for women they have the free phone National Domestic Abuse Helpline run by Refuge. There is the men's advice line specifically for men or mankind. If you are LGBT+, you can call Gallup, and there's also Karma Nirvana. I have also taken the liberty of putting in some links and resources for those in the United States, in Canada, and for those in Australia and New Zealand. There are resources available, there is always someone to listen, and as hard as the situation will be, I hope with all my heart that this story helps relate to you, and that it can get better. Most heartfelt greetings and salutations, ladies and gentlethems. I eagerly welcome you to Sturgeon's most premier station, Dusklight Radio, hosted by yours truly, the wise but weary, young but yielding, and laboriously loquacious Everett J. Blackwell. Perhaps you know of us Blackwells. We were involved in the first 90-90 vision service. We'd bulk up your eyesight for a sixpence and a firm handshake. But people found they weren't quite ready for all that extra clarity that it brought. Some things left unsaid, things they should have never seen, realities where they did things differently. Many came to the conclusion that the only way to stop it all was to gouge out their own eyes, or buy prescription contacts. That was the less gross option. Listeners, I have an important update about our transmissions of the spaces in between. We are putting it on hold temporarily as we do not wish to recast the role of Madam No Lockwood from Dodge the Grave, and she's requested some additional time to focus on personal matters before recording. I'm sure you'll all agree that not only is this a wise decision, but that we here at Dusklight wish her nothing but peace and tranquility while she focuses on herself. Please show her some love in the comments and feel free to subscribe to her channel linked in the description. The remainder will be adapted soon, and we have a fun Sturgeon surprise coming up next week, in addition to our Patreon voted series coming soon, so keep those eyes and ears peeled. Anyway, I'm Dusklight's main and most fabulous half-dead host. My job at this fine radio station is to bring you some of the most twisted, interesting, and downright bizarre tales that I and my wonderful many-legged runners collect from the far corners of Sturgeon and beyond. Some of them will make you laugh, some will make you cry, and some will keep you having your eyes peeled for a special one in the window. Speaking of eyes being peeled, Clue has now moved from their designated position as the coat rack that you don't wish to get too close to, and is now staring out the window. Evelyn gave me a list of rules to follow while she went on her cruise, but I told her that rules stories were so 2018, and she just scoffed and picked her nose. I took a peek behind Clue's shoulder and saw another broken statue across the way at the Farmers Collective Manufacturing Plant, and it was staring back, painted in garish colors with mandibles for hands, bulbous eyes, and twigs for teeth. I swear it moved, but when I looked again, it was static. Horrifying. Clue has also begun to randomly throw out numbers in descending order. I think something bad might be coming. Also, I hope you enjoy our new trimmings. We got a new coat of paint and even somehow made me more animated. I'll be honest, listeners, do I still look fabulous? It's hard to maintain beauty standards when you're already 1 foot in the grave. Please show your love for Sir Gorky in the comments and check out his DeviantArt. The man is truly something special. Not the Jackal Blackwell minds. They've now begun to turn victims, or just what they can carry, into sushi for the discerning Sturgeonite on the go. When asked if this was a marketing stunt to parody the Soylent Green scene, Jackal looked confused, said it was an original idea, and, upon being shown it, screeched like a banshee, dislocated their jaw, and well, let's just say more is being added to the menu soon. At affordable prices, even the meek, not at their peak, will eke it down their beak. So says Jackal's new slogan for Jackwell's Big House of Munch. despite it being a cardboard stall in an alley. Good luck to you, Jackal. Hope that ad placement was worth it. It's time for our story for this evening. This is a Sturgeon exclusive, never before adapted to audio and sent in by an anonymous citizen, but transcribed by and voiced by Janitor-elect TJ Lee. TJ would also like to remind you that this is from his latest collection, The Things We Leave Behind Volume 2, which you can get now on Amazon. He also has a contest announcement at the end of the video, so make sure you stick around for more info. You can also follow TJ on Instagram for mostly memes and wrestling updates at the TJ Lee. Otherwise, keep it here for all things Sturgeon. Last up on our Blackwell watch, Tabitha Blackwell has decided to declare war on Papa Kayo, doing so today as the sun reached its zenith. Quoted as saying, "As Solaire makes her presence known and warms the upper crust of this organism we call home, so does the mines rumble with the desire for growth, change, and food. We will take Kaio's brined spines, depose his hobo queen, and usher in a new era under Mama Tabitha. Repetitio est mater studiorum." Papa Kaio heard this while sizzling a new batch of spines, shrugged, burped, and jerked a thumb back towards his spine pit. When our roving reporter OF Province gazed inside, they saw a writhing mass of bones, rapidly turning into a skeleton army that rivaled the great hordes of old. "It can change forms, you know." Kaio grunted as he taste-tested a spleen, clicking his fingers before it formed into the horror that is the Gyasha Dekoru, the legendary skeletal beast of Japanese folklore. Safe to say, a war may come to Sturgeon. But it won't stop the Day of the Fireflies on June 13th. Every year, the umbral door resurfaces on Sturgeon Central Street, and we each give something up to the hooded figures guarding it. And in exchange, we get one day with a loved one in the shadows. What will you give up? Let us know in the comments. We'll have more on that later. Special thanks must be given first to Mandy Mo for the original beauteous image you see when you look on our page, then to Sir Gorky for the brand new rendering of yours truly, and the Dusklight offices, and the truly, accurately horrifying rendition of the sky outside in Sturgeon. How does he do that? And to Dark Somnium for being such a gracious yet terrifying sponsor of the channel and providing us with music to utilize. If you enjoy these intros and want to see more, please ensure you've got notifications on and leave a comment for every video you encounter. With that, the sun has set and dusk has crawled into the studio once more. Whether you're working, prepping to sleep, or evading the formless void that will one day consume us all, Blackwell is here to soothe your ears and captivate your soul. Now, close your eyes and take a deep breath. The scene has been set and the light is on. It's time to walk towards it. They say this trail covers ancient land, that the things you find along here aren't for the normal-minded to see. Honestly, I just took a detour after a rough night and decided that this was a good excuse to lengthen out my drive and listen to some good music. But now I'm dictating my thoughts to my notepad like a neurotic asshole because a stream of consciousness spoken to nobody seems too weird to me. I'd rather be Dale Cooper than Jack Torrance, let me tell you that. The in-car system still lets dulcet tones from my lo-fi playlist hang in the air. The wonders of modern technology, I suppose. Not so loud that it drowns out my thoughts or interrupts the beauty of the drive, but enough to allow me to be introspective and feel like I'm going on my own trip of self-discovery. Right, the trip, of course. The first thing you see as you come off the last turning on the finely paved concrete is a series of signs that lead off into a dirt road that stretches into the darkness and dips out of sight. The first was the normal highway sign, standing at the back with a slight crook to the side. The paint flaking away at the edges, but the sign shimmering in front of my car lights. A705 North, A705 South, M Road, 300 yards west. There was a crude sign hanging in front, practically peering down at me from a clearly damaged pole in the dirt, the letters scratched and blotchy. It read, "Stretching out in front of you is a featured oddity within UB Dedra's Dusklight Circus. The transfixing allure of the myopic road beckons all. Simply start your journey and let the delights find you. A small post-it note had been attached to the bottom, hastily scribbled. Remember, do not turn on your headlights. Do not expose the trail ahead. Drive slow and drive safe. It's the dead of night. This part of the country doesn't have many folks out to these back roads at the best of times, and quarantine simply exacerbated that. I took a deep breath and looked at my knuckles as they gripped the steering wheel, skin tearing away and raw flesh exposed, stinging in the wake of the biting cold. I thought of what I had driven away from, what I'm always trying to get away from. I close my eyes and see the looming red shapes, the haze of anger and the hot flush of pain. I grip the steering wheel tighter and clench my teeth as I put my foot down and turn the wheel towards the road. The myopic road is simply an unofficial title, of course. No planning committee would sign off on such a strange name. Not even a very subtle one, for that matter. Short-sighted because of the sheer darkness enveloping the trail from side to side, inevitably causing accidents. Our ancestors have a very ugly sense of humor. But it was fitting. The road was something of an anomaly in my hometown, and while nobody had been actively dissuaded from going down it, nobody ever needed to reinforce the fear we all felt. No, the accidents were a frequent enough reminder. If you drove down the road with respect and patience, they say it's just a good place to cleanse the mind and help you focus. Plenty have come out the other side without problems, or so they say. But there were many, far too many, who didn't listen, didn't obey the rules, didn't heed them or even see them. Be it someone intoxicated behind the wheel, those escaping the law, joyriders, or just general thrill seekers, they would all inexplicably find themselves coming down the myopic road, and they would almost always find themselves meeting with an ugly end. Sometimes, patrol cars would find the wreckage after a couple of days, scraps of their clothing and maybe even an identifiable piece of the person. Other times, a single liver could find itself draped over the sign leading into the trail 10 years after its owner went missing. But, oftentimes, most people didn't get found at all. No vehicle, no trace. When police officers would pursue offenders towards this trail, they'd simply stop at the threshold and flash their headlights, desperately trying to convince them to come back, that any fate is better than what lay down that road. Or maybe they were hoping, wishing in vain, that the driver had seen the one rule when traversing down the myopic road. Do not turn on your headlights. So, here I am. I've been driving for about 10 minutes now at a relatively slow pace. The moonlight above has helped me see just a bit ahead, and I can feel my mind wandering. I remember the last thing I said out loud to a living, breathing person. How dare you? I am not standing for this bullshit anymore, do you hear me? I hope you fucking joke. I remember the hot bile in my throat and my shaking fists as I spat venom in their face, their eyes wide and full of fear and rage. I remember my fist connecting with their jaw over and over before I finally... What the fuck? I had to stop. There's something in the road. The clearing is narrowing. These huge trees permeate every aspect of my windscreen and tower over me. They're old and some are gnarled. The bark is blackened and small insects crawl over them. I think I see birds perched on a pair of branches just above me. But I can't recall ever seeing birds with necks that long or eyes that white. The moon's light is beginning to wane, and the further I traverse, the harder it is to make things out. But it didn't stop me seeing the thing some 20 feet ahead of me. Hunched over as if vomiting, shoulders rotating and shuddering as the hind legs reared up. My hand instinctively goes for the little dial that turns on my headlights, and I stop myself and remember the sign. Do not turn on the headlights. Fuck. I take a look back and try to figure out if I can reverse on the trail, do a 3-point turn and go back. But by now, it's obvious that the embankment on either side is high and the trees are too close to allow for space. Fuck. Nothing else for it, I tell myself. I push down on the pedal and move forward slowly, revving the engine in hopes that this deer-like creature gets the hint and scarpers. But it doesn't. I see its hind legs rise off the ground and twist towards me, a single bulbous eye fixing on me. I honk the horn on instinct, and this thing immediately drops down to all fours and runs off for the woods. I've been driving again now for a few minutes. The road is getting darker, but I'm doing as instructed and letting my mind wander. Every kick, shove, punch, and barbed jab brings me a new wave of renewed anger and disgust. That filthy pig thinking they could ever make this right. That it was just a one-off, promising never again. Pathetic. I could still feel my fists clenched gleefully, smashing into their face over and over, the crunching of their nose and the tears in their eyes as they begged and pleaded for mercy. Mercy should never be given to scum like that. A smile curls around my lips as I feel my thighs sear with hot pain, my neck tightening, and my entire frame reliving the muscle memory of fights long past. The road was beginning to dip, and I could sense a bend was coming up. Not something I expected. It was only when I take a look in my rearview mirror on instinct that I could see it. Bloodshot eyes, black fur eclipsing all its features save for the tusks protruding from its top lips, viscous black liquid dripping off of them. This thing was matching my smile, and I watched its fucking pupils dilate as if it were getting ready to pounce. I floor it without thinking, and... fuck. I made the most critical mistake. Headlights on. It was just for a moment, just to get me away safely from this thing and see where the fuck I was going. But it showed me what was lurking on the sides of the trees, clinging to the branches, crawling at the depths of my peripheral vision. I saw flesh move in ways it shouldn't, human bodies devoid of features save for long, dark streaks of red. I saw too much. I saw something I didn't wish to see. Their body, broken and battered beyond repair, laying in the road, mangled as if they'd been run over by... They looked up at me for just a moment. No. Headlights off. I checked the locks were on the door and just burst into tears. Shameful, angry tears. My knuckles hurt more than ever and razors line my throat as I hold back a scream. I remember grabbing my things and leaving. They were choking on the floor and begging me to stay. I remember the fear in their words as they struggled to move broken fingers and speak between mouthfuls of blood and broken teeth. I remember the sheer hatred I felt for them when I took one last look at them and had all the power in the world, telling them the one thing I knew would haunt them forever. I will go to the one place you cannot follow. You will never have me. I heard them stumble to get up as I went for the door. A slip, a grunt, a bump, a crack, and a slump to the floor. But I did not look back. Not once. I don't like to think of what happened to them. Not out of fear for the repercussions, but for fear of returning to my old self that sympathized with them, that coddled to them, that depended on them. Something moved in the trees by my window. It was gangly, small, and flung itself from the base of the trees with arms too wide for its frame, like a comic book character enshrouded in darkness. The birds overhead are still on that same branch. They've grown in number now, and their necks are twisting as they look down at me. I know they're eyeing me up now, the drool from their beaks coating my windscreen and hissing as it makes contact. Maybe I deserve to be here. Maybe this is my punishment for letting my temper get the better of me and inflicting pain on someone I was supposed to love. That age-old adage of "they deserved it" seems hollow in my throat even now when I dictate this. Words crumbling to dust as they pass my teeth and echo when succeeding my lips, hanging in the stale air of my car as a mocking reminder of my pure weakness. Oh, I'll show them weakness. I wipe my tears away and look ahead to the now barely lit road. It continues to descend and I see no signs of it leveling out. But I put down my foot and I accelerate, regardless. Headlights on. The quicker I go, the more begins to reach out from the sides of the car. Sometimes, I think I recognize him in that fleeting moment. An old friend I once said something cruel to in jest. A university roommate whose food I surreptitiously ate when they had little to no money. An ex I cheated on. My lover. All of them momentarily highlighted by nothing more than natural lighting and waning instincts, their faces contorted into hideous expressions of rage, malnourished bodies reaching out with frail limbs as they try to get a hold of my car. I almost don't see them in the road. I slam on my brakes and stare at them, their towering figure all the more imposing in the isolation of this road. Not a single scrap of skin left on their body. Only pure, red flesh. Their face full of bruises. A black eye and tears of blood running down their face as what remains of their jaw intonates the same words. Never again. They take long, powerful steps towards the hood of my car. Never again alone. They place two broken, mangled hands on the sides of the hood and leap forward, their broken face frozen between despair and rage as they rear back their head and careen their skull into the windscreen over and over as their pain shrieks get louder, the glass threatening to shatter as it distorts under the pressure. Everything floods back, and in that moment, I am once again my old self and full of an incalculable fear. But it is only when they speak aloud that full sentence do I snap out of it. Never again will you be alone. Headlights off. I will never be that person again. I accelerate fast, brake hard, and watch as they go flying, their body greeting the pavement with a vile crunch as they twist and snap, coming to a stop some 15 feet ahead of me, twitching. I feel my knuckles burn as they grip the steering wheel, and I resist the urge to get out and finish the job with my bare hands. Broken promises from a broken person, I spit. You will never be anything more than this. I push hard on the accelerator as my car thunders over them, offering no resistance as they slip under the tires and two short, sickening bumps follow as I continue on. It didn't take long for that bravado to slip, however. 10 minutes down the road, I slow to a crawl and roll down the window to vomit between sobs. The air is thick with iron, and I can hear a croaking emanating from the embankment opposite my window. It fills my head with nauseating thoughts, and my eyes start to glaze over. But the jerking sensation of my engine stalling is enough to pull me back inside. The road is leveling out now. The moon overhead casting a powerful yellow glow over the pathway. Not dissimilar to that of a supermoon, maybe even bigger. I could see the jagged cracks on its surface, thick blots, and was the moon always so split? I feel like it's pulsating when I stare at it, or is it simply getting closer? That is not the moon. There's a small black dot in the center of it, following me as I start down the road, a low drone growing in volume as I pick up speed down this stretch of road, desperate for an exit. How can this go on for so long? Surely there's an end in sight. I feel my thoughts start to spill out and dissipate before I can fully comprehend them, like my mind is a sponge being squeezed of all moisture. When I look up at the orb, I see thick red veins around the sides, splitting it. It is an eye. It's their eye. Never letting me out of their sight for a moment, as was always the way. That drone, their incessant call to action, a threat of what would occur if I didn't respond to them in a timely fashion. Think what you will of me, but I did what I had to do, and I am not sorry for it. They can follow me to the ends of the earth, but I will not apologize for taking a stand. When you love someone, you are supposed to protect them, to make them a part of your own heart and entrust yours in kind. It is safety, trust, vulnerability, and so much more. It is never meant to be a microcosm of fear, subjugation, and pain. I know what the road is doing, what it is showing me. My sins, my failures, my fears. They all go back to them, as they always have done. That last night, they had followed me incessantly from room to room, not allowing me a moment's respite, and like a shadow they clung to me, seeping into my skin and making it burn from the inside out. I could not breathe from the suffocation, both metaphorically and inevitably, literally, when I would request some space. I don't know what triggered me to finally stand up for myself. Perhaps it was the way they'd been acting in our quarantine, staring at me like a predator sizing up a meal. Maybe it was the constant humming over me while I slept, as if grappling with their own instincts to kill. But either way, I felt their thin fingers wrap around my neck and their barbed words as they spat expletive after expletive.
You pathetic pig. Nobody will ever want you the way I do. You belong to me, and I will do with you as I see fit. You're less than the roadkill birds feed on.
They'd grin and watch as the life faded from my eyes, just enough that they could let go and know I was on the verge of passing out. I heaved as they let me go, still clawing at my throat in a desperate attempt to rid their presence of me and my soft sobs filling the room. They didn't like that. Not one bit.
Oh my god, I don't fucking care! Can you shut up?
A powerful kick met my stomach as I lay prone on the ground, their hands over their heads and genuine anger on their face as if I'd just spat on them.
You don't ever think about the consequences of your actions, do you? Did you ever consider that you wouldn't be here? We wouldn't be here if you didn't just fuck up all the time!
I remember they kneeled down and their bright blue eyes shimmered as they gently cupped my face and flashed that smile that immediately put me under their spell. But I may as well have been face to face with a crocodile.
You know I could kill you and nobody would fucking care about a freak like you, right? Nobody will ever love you. Never again. You will always be alone.
My right hand connected with their jaw, and the force was strong enough to dislocate it in one fell swoop. They collapsed back and looked at me in bewilderment, their eyes full of fear, and if anyone walked in on us at that moment, you'd think I was their lifelong tormentor. They had no understanding of why they deserved to be punished, why they deserved pain and torment. They truly believed in their hearts that they were above such things, that the laws did not apply to them, that I was their property to be beaten as they saw fit, and that if anyone dared put a finger on them, it was the crime among crimes. And that made me angrier. I can see the thing above growing red, the road is becoming dim, and I can sense that wide-eyed beast is gaining on the car, but I will not relent. I will not stop. With every successive strike, I felt them wither under my weight. They kept bleating out that same pathetic line.
Never again. We'll always be alone.
When they stumbled and fell, I was sure they were close to death from sound alone. Yet I refused to go back and help. I wanted them to know the true loneliness in those final moments, callous as that may be to some. I must sound like such a horrible person to you, in spite of everything I endured. But my hands are shaking as I grip the steering wheel. The road has darkened, and as I go slower, I can feel this thing gaining on me, determined to do God knows what once it catches up to me. The road is beginning to climb now. In the dim light left, I can see a steep curve going up. I'll need to push the accelerator and... oh, there are pits across the road. Numerous potholes that could easily stall the car if I'm not careful. I cannot do it in the darkness. Perhaps myopic road is not unlike the journey of self-discovery in Sturgeon. We start our maddening descent, we face our troubles at the middling road, and we continue our road to healing and betterment with the uphill struggle. Or maybe Maybe I'm simply terrified beyond belief and wishing to make sense of a place that is devoid of almost none. I can't go back now. The police will have discovered the body, and no matter what defense I offer, I will simply be trading one prison for another. No, the road. This road. It's all I have left now. I think I'll put on some music for the last leg of my journey. The red eye above is pulsating, but I think it's not dissimilar to my lover. If you fight against it and show defiance, it will hold no sway over you, even if fear grips every fiber of my being. Perhaps I won't find anything and simply go until my car runs out of gas, letting the beasts of this wood take me. Maybe I'll get to the other side and be a free person for the first time in my adult life. Maybe the shape some ways up the road, towering over the trees with long antlers jutting out of its skull, will be helpful and not a hindrance. Either way, I must drive. Whatever happens, happens. If you take anything from this, put yourself before anyone else. Do not let their anger and fear become a catalyst for pain and suffering. You will always have the power to take agency back and break free. Hopefully in a less violent way than I did. The myopic road will be waiting for you when you wish to make your own journey. Perhaps I will be too. Headlights on. I think we've all been in a heated feud or a toxic situation before. Hopefully this person was able to escape. I may have an armistice talk with the Blackwell siblings before things get out of hand. If you have ever been in a situation like this, remember, you are not alone. There is always help out there, and there is always a way out. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to check out some of our other transmissions. We are adding them regularly, and we'd love to have you as part of the Dusklight family by subscribing, hitting the bell of the roads, and leave a comment with stories you'd love for my many-legged runners to find. I want to thank all our patrons for making this possible. If you want to sign up, it's as little as $1 a month, and you get exclusive content, early access to videos and stories, polls to go into and vote, updates, and more. But times are tough, and we will always be grateful for support, no matter what form it comes in: financial, spiritual, corporeal, maniacal, whatever you want. Dusklight gives thanks to our Sturgeon faithfuls: Haley Clark, PRDDL12, Sabrina Alexander, Jason Webb, Larry W., and newest Sturgeon to town, Casper Noren. Enjoy the new signed book, Casper. Purple Crayon Eaters Julia Krager, who brought a Midnight Magenta collection as part of her initiation. Candyman Gloving, Square, Gianni Di Lorena, Feeny Von Karma, Max, Ashabel, Death31, Heather Cayley, who, after sacrificing librarians, began to consume all the purple crayons in the production factories to feel magenta on the inside. Our janitors: Alex Nunez, Amy Sean, Arkham Cookie, Scott, and new recruit Sabia Eclipse, replacing the recently promoted Ethan. Having defeated the elevated horror aficionado, now they face their deadliest foe, the covetous Criterion Collector, lurking in the vents, recommending Kino. Our nightmare detectives: Adrian Rodriguez, cop buddy Ethan Nelson, and new recruits Fox Clifford, a recent transfer from Kenosha County with a thick Necronomicon guide and a loose Eldritch cannon. Having seen his partner get promoted to Voidwalker after the tragedy at Denny's at 3 a.m., has elected to focus on the latest case within Sturgeon, the Arby's mystery. Who the fuck eats there? This is no longer a buddy cop. It's a true detective serial, baby. Our Voidwalker, Evan Diaz, now has a fresh partner, Professor Creepypasta, the Giles to his Buffy. With the professor's esoteric and highly forbidden knowledge, they can ascend to the 5th dimension and begin preparing for the incoming storm, topple the Magenta King from his throne, and... oh, it just stops there. They left a winking face in its place. And our ever-expanding Blackwell family. Jackal Blackwell, who really should reinvest in his modeling career. Seriously, Jackal, I can tear up that NDA in an instant, just you say the word. Clue Blackwell, still staring at their friend across the street and playing a form of tic-tac-toe that makes my head hurt. Tabitha Blackwell, who has begun to march from the mines and towards Sturgeon Central chanting, "I ain't afraid of no ghosts, I can kill Skeletor, nya." And Papa Kyle Blackwell, undeterred by the threat at his doorstep, has begun taking war tactic advice from Arya. "It's important she learns world domination young," he said before listening to her orders, solemnly nodding and catapulting toxic waste towards Tabitha's army. Ugh. Well, we love and fear you, Papa. We thank you all humbly for your patronage and look to see you bright and early for Dusk Cloud orientation, with purple crayons and existential dread to be provided. And if you enjoy these customized introductions adding to the lore of Sturgeon and Dusk Cloud Radio, the Patreon is linked below. And now a quick word from our Janitor Supremo, TJ Lee. Hello everybody, I hope you're enjoying the new transmissions going up on Dusk Cloud Radio. A real quick message about the contest we've got going on. I have 3 signed copies of our second volume of this collection, The Things They Take Away. I also have a signed copy of The Things We Leave Behind, and I have signed copies of the current Sturgeon books 1, 2, and 3. That is The Last Sin Eater, that is The Spaces in Between, and Beneath the Static. I am going to be putting together a contest with Spirit Voices next week. The first prize will be a signed copy of all the books in one big package shipped out to you. Second prize will be the 2 collections, Volume 1 and Volume 2 from Velox. And then third prize, which I'll do probably a couple of those, will be signed copies of the latest book. I'm going to figure out the contest details with Lucy. We're going to run it through June, and we will announce the winners probably at the end of the month. So I look forward to giving out some extra books, and I'll put custom signs in there for anyone who enters and wins. And yeah, just stay tuned to the transmissions, and you'll find out some more soon. Now, one last time, listeners, close your eyes and breathe with me. Remember, no matter how bad things are, how cruel people can be, and how heavy your shoulders may feel with the weight of the world bearing down on them, Dusk Cloud will always be here to lift the load and provide you with some respite. That game of tic-tac-toe is beginning to hurt my head, listeners, so quickly now. Drink some Capri Sun, have some nuggies, watch a video about the history of Dream Pop, and sleep on the cool side of the pillow with the window open and the stars twinkling down on you. Start and end each day with kindness in your heart. You matter, you are loved, and every day is another chance. I'll see you again when the sun sets and dusk enters the station.